Hello, and welcome to today's Coppice Dev stream. I'm Martin Pokington, and for those who don't know me, I am a small software developer based in the northwest of England, and when I'm not doing contract work for others, I am working on my indie app, Coppice, for the Mac. Over the past week, I've actually had time off from contracting, so we've actually been working on really pushing Coppice forward this week. And we're continuing that today, working on the image hotspots. So if we switch over, I'm actually just in the process of finishing up some tests. I would like to get these tests finished, and to be frank, there aren't too many viewers at the moment, so I figure get this done before people start popping in and showing off the interesting stuff. So what I am currently looking for is reminding myself how I test errors. XCT assert throws error. Right. Image hotspot, dictionary representation, dictionary. And what we want to do is assert this is equal to. Want that kind to be in, but it to be. Let's make it an integer. Endpoints is going to be a string. Eliminate it from that one. Spell it correctly there. I'm gonna update the polygon. And no, to points. And what that should do is if we build and run these tests, they should now pass. And they do not. Aha, image hotspot error. That's what. Valid. Right. That's okay, try that again. Build failed. Why? Oh, because they did that one. Really? Okay. Well, that passes. Making sure that if something goes wrong, we'll call that. So, we have just 3 more tests failing, which are a similar thing over here. Make that there, and exit insert equal. Oh no, we need to make the content. Let content equal try. Page content. What will error? Should hopefully all pass now. Now that is all passing. Let's just do Have a quick run of the full thing. Alright, now that is all done, let's just commit. For one, get the hotspots hooked up. Hotspots hooked up. Right. Those tests and it. And push those up. So let's go back to looking at what we were doing yesterday, which is our image hotspot view. So we build and run, we can take a look at what we managed to do yesterday. So what we got working is all the tests that we've had running was basically building all the stuff for handling all of this. Laying out the hotspots, setting all the corners, and all the interaction for moving stuff around, making sure it's bounded and resized. Now, we actually hit a few issues. One is that there's a lot of stuff in terms of aspect ratios where all of these are in the coordinate space of the image. So when we scale down, we need our hotspots to change. Now the hotspots, all the layout engine works in image coordinate space. So you may think, oh, we can just get the rectangles and bring them back out. The problem is how we've implemented it in the actual hotspots is NS Bezier path. The reason we've done that is that it allows for the Bezier path to be handled internally, passed up, and it basically just makes stuff a lot easier. Because, for example, we can return an oval Bezier path here or a rectangle Bezier path here. All of the code in our view does not need to care about that. All it is going to do is for each hotspot, build the hotspot path and fill all the recs, and eventually fill the editing bounds path if it's there. So this will control all the styling, but actually the path that it needs to fill in or stroke or the box it needs to put in goes in here. And all the logic for the layout engine, all it needs to do is convert from a point in view space down to a point in image space. And all we need this up here to do is convert from a point in image space to a point in view space. So what we're going to need to do is our first task is going to be passing our aspect ratio that we can generate, which is for actually drawing is going to be image size.width over frame.width. We need to convert these all to functions so we can pass those in. So this will always work in an aspect ratio of 1, but we can also pull out aspect ratio elsewhere. So that's our first task. Then there's a bug that we have, which I'm still not sure exactly what is going on, but you can see if I resize like this, that's fine. If I hold down the Option key, again, we're resizing down the center just fine. But when we get a bit too close to the edge, see, we're not at the edge yet, but we are creating issues. So I think we're going to need some more unit tests that actually cover the case where we're up against the edge and we're holding the Option key down to resize around the center, because something is going wrong there. If I do here as well, see, that is going wrong. So there's all sorts of weirdness that appears to be happening when you start getting up to things. Yeah, normal resizing works fine. So it's all to do with the center stuff. So we're going to have to look at that. I also want it as I resize. If I resize down and then I start resizing again. So I'm resizing up. Now, if I press the Option key now, nothing changes. I have to drag the Option key to change. Now, what I would like to have happen is when I press the Option key, it will switch to this mode. And when I release the Option key, it will change that again. And then we just want to do some finalizing of the style and selection, deletion, and so on. Hi, Uli. Yeah, it could be that. Could be edge testing the uncentered rect. That would actually make a lot of sense. If you get to there, if we assume that is nice, that could actually be it. The edge testing is going from this origin here rather than right. So we need the edge testing when you're holding Option to basically half the distance. So okay. Well, let's see if we can get that one done first then. So how are you today, Uli? And hello, Jen. Glad you enjoy your present. That is quite all right, and hope you really enjoy them. I was looking through and trying to figure out what to get you, and the bow cube stood out, and then I saw a red panda, and figured they were going to be good for you. Yeah, it's always when you're doing any geometry, it's very easy to make silly mistakes. I was making so many mistakes where I was just getting signs wrong the other day. So thankfully, the layout engine is actually doing fairly well in most cases, because I've managed to get this set up in a way I could probably do with actually putting some comments in here. I got this set up in a way where it's completely abstracted, so when you are resizing the top, we just adjust the rect with the origin offset in a direction. So the origin offset is basically just how far off it's how far from the... Why is it 0 is bottom? Because we want the origin offset. Oh yeah, it's how far offset from the origin. Because the handle is top, the origin's in the top left. Where have I put my notes? I am confused. It works, I'm just very confused. So you have that up there, down the bottom. Hello, Finite Singularity. Welcome to the stream. Happy Thursday to you too. We're just trying to work out some bugs, and I'm trying to work out how on earth some code that actually does work is meant to work. So the origin offset, you have your origin, modifier contains option, then the origin is in there. Otherwise, the origin offset is via here. But the origin is in the top left, so why is it 0 for bottom? The initial drag delta is the size minus the origin offset minus the origin. And the new drag delta, yeah, so this bit makes sense. So you have your modifier containing, so that bit makes sense, origin offset. Literally after I wrote this, I was going to be making some, I thought after I get off the stream, I will write up some comments on this and tidy this up, and I never did, and I should really have done that, because what I have, if I bring up my iPad, I have all of this here, and basically how it's meant to work, if I erase some of this stuff. So the origin is up here, so if you click and drag here, let's say you're doing it on here, and you're dragging, you have the origin is going to be up here, because that is what you're moving through. So therefore, that is what it is. It's not the, right. Let's rename that. Offset from, no. Offset from origin. Okay. Yeah, the solution is just renaming a variable. I've renamed it to offset from origin. So what it is if I am dragging this point here, then on this bottom point, the actual origin that we're resizing around is this point here. Because as we drag up, the values decrease. As we drag down, the values increase. So we are below the origin in this thing, and we're above the origin here. So that is effectively our 0 point. When you do from the top, like you're dragging this point, then our offset from the origin, our origin is actually down here. Because when you're dragging down, we're getting closer to our 0 point, and then we start going positive. The reason we do it this way, I will show you, is because when you click and resize, like I'm clicking the bottom here, and can you see how the top side is not moving as I'm moving up and down? So that's our 0 point, but when we go past the 0 point, we need that to stay fixed. So that's still our origin, but we're effectively in negative, because as you go up, you go to minus, as you go down, you go to positive. Same here. If you go from the top, we're in the minus. So basically, like clicking the top, and when you're down here, that is the same as clicking this. So we're basically inverting it. So that makes a lot. Oh, yeah. Now I need to hide the iPad to show you this. So I have this. I click this, and I move down. We're going positive as we go down, negative as we go up, but the top isn't moving. Then we get to the origin, we go past it, and we keep going negative. And we go down. So that works there, but if we click one of the top ones, the origin is at the bottom. Now, because the origin is of the actual thing is always up here, if this is our 0, 0 point, if we click this, then our 0 point is at 0 if we're doing the bottom. Or if we're moving left, right, our 0's there. If we move the right side, our 0 point is at 0. If we move the top, however, our 0 point is now whatever the original height was. And this way. So it's like the offsets are almost inverted because our origin becomes the opposite of the point that you actually click. So, I mean, I know this worked because, as I say, I wrote all this on previous streams and I wrote it over unit tests, and we only actually got this working yesterday, and I am still amazed at how well all of this works, considering like I literally built and ran this, and it all works in terms of the bounding. It works in terms, for the most part, of holding option to resize around the center. It only fails when we get to this point here, but Uli managed to find the bug, which is what happens is, as we get to there, it starts moving. The problem is that it seems to be taking, like, it should lock there to the side, but it's not doing. Well, it is doing here, but if you look at this size here and we go back up here and we make it roughly the same size, you see now it starts moving. So it is still doing the bounce checks from this point here. And you move out. So now that this is working, we want our bounce check. So Let's comment this as we go through it. So we want to get our origin is opposite of flicked handle. Well, no. Set up the origin and initial delta. Size. Well, no, that's completely useless because you can see that. So you're going through there. The initial drag delta is we get our origin. If it's option, we do this. Right. So what we want to do, even though I wanted to get away from doing some unit tests, is we're going to do some unit tests for this. So if I open up image editor, rectangle hotspot tests, let's go along to here and add where are we? Oop, wrong button. Do resizing. Right, let's just do one test for now, because that should hopefully, if we do bottom and we do top, it should just work, because all this is set up to correctly swap between. I'm actually really pleased with how this code has worked out, being able to make all this so generic, so that I can just call this for top, bottom, left and right, and it all works exactly the same way. Horizontal, like in the horizontal direction, the vertical direction, no matter which handle you do, I'm pretty pleased with how I managed to make that reusable. So, holding option while resizing doesn't go beyond bounds. So we start at 50. So all these tests start in a 200 by 200 image, with the hotspot is at 0.5050 and it's 100 by 100, so it takes up like half. So if we hold down option and we move 60 points down, that should make us try to grow 120 points, which should not be possible. So that should make our y 0 and our height 200. At 200, y 0. Ooh, actually, what would be useful to test? Be interesting to be able to shift the rectangle down. Do we have? Yes, so I can pass in the rectangle. So let's just, for this specific, not that one, this specific one, I'm going to make our rect, rect, x is going to be, if we shift it down, no, we don't need to shift the x, I want to shift the y down to 60. And still make it 100, 100. But what that is going to mean, when we drag it down, this isn't going to be 0, and this isn't going to be 200. This is going to be 180. 180, and we're going to have 20 and 20. And if we build and run this, need to add our rect in. If we build and run this should fail. And it should fail, hopefully, for the reason Uli pointed out. Incorrect. Well, that's good to know. Edit all in scope does not work if you have a nested function. Well, it's picking it up. That. Do that. Yeah, that's a bug. I will have to file that. Hey. Swift can be a pain, Xcode can be a pain, but they get the job done. Okay, so we're failing. Hi Dragon Dust and hi Since Something. Sorry I wasn't paying attention to chat. I've just focused in on getting this working. How are you both today? Right, so we have this is getting down there and starting to shift us up. So oh, your work day's almost over. That's always good when you get your work day almost finished. And development's going good Since Something. We actually have things working. We're just fixing a bug, and then you should hopefully be able to see all that stuff I've been writing, just how well it works. So that's why you love Sea Lion so much. Refactoring's much better. Yeah, the refactoring in JetBrains stuff is significantly better. But the problem I always have with the JetBrains stuff is that almost everything else that matters to me is worse. Like, it's a pain to get things set up in like all the settings. It's a pain to... They're just not enjoyable to use. It's like there's a lot of power, but they're a pain. Very much a pain to use. So this is why I always feel like, for all its flaws, I still think Xcode is the best tool to use. It's like, most of the time when I'm doing the refactoring, I need to rename something, and for that I usually just do find and replace, and that works. And all the other refactoring, I just do not have the muscle memory to do it anyway, so... Right, so we get our current origin. And well, our current origin plus origin, that is less than or equal to 0. Just step through this. Yeah, they are very customizable apps. It's just I don't want to have to spend that much time customizing most of them. I can work around a lot of stuff in terms of customization when it's not a big deal. So let's have a look through here. Let me write ourselves. So we have our origin adjustment, which is going to be shifting the origin minus 60, which is correct because we're moving delta y 60 because we're doing the option thing. Our size adjustment is 220. I could do with renaming those better because this is like this is technically just the new size, whereas the origin adjustment is what we're changing the origin by, rather than what we're setting the size to, because we're doing a plus equals here on the adjustment. And in fact, let's do that now. Let's just set that to a var and rename this to new size, and we'll get rid of that. That solves that problem. Oh, actually, I wonder if that was our problem, because that was using the size adjustment, not the new size. See if that works. Because what we do up here is we adjust for the origin, and then we adjust for the size. Okay, is that still going to be failing? Yeah, so that's still failing in the same way. So we're still getting to a point where at point 60, we move down. We move down 40. And then we stop. Aha! So you have your current origin. Yeah, it would be useful for that. I mean, here's an interesting fact for, because I know there's some people here who weren't here when I discovered this. I've had to create this XCT assert rect equal. You may say, why do you need an XCT assert rect equal function? Surely you can just do XCT assert equal on two rects. Well, let me show you. So I've got a rect here, and I'm going to copy it and do rect1. And we're going to do rect equals rect1. They're true. If we change the y to 50, they're false. Okay. What happens if we set the height to -20 now? They're true. $50, $30, $120 is equal to $50, $50, $100, -20. Now, if you think about it, that does make sense. Because if your origin is at 50, 50 and you go -20, you're going up, and the top left corner is going to be at 50, 30. And it's going to be 20 points tall, and it's going to be 100 points wide. So these are effectively, like if you were to draw this as a rectangle, the same thing. The problem is, when you're dealing with views, views do not like negative sizes. Views like to crash when you have negative sizes. So I've ended up having to write a special thing here that means that I assert that the origin is equal and the size is equal when you want to compare two rects. One of those things where it's like, oh, it makes sense that it does work this way, yet it makes zero sense because everywhere that I'm going to use these does not accept them that way. I'm not sure whether Core Graphics accepts negative sizes, but I would presume no, because the rest of all the drawing stuff doesn't use them, but what the hey. So the problem is we're using the current origin here. So the origin plus the origin adjustment is right. Let's start doing some drawing this because it's always good whenever I do geometry. It is always so much better to draw it out. So let's bring up the iPad. Let's also see if I remember to put it away when I switch back to Xcode. So what we want to do is, the way all this works is I stopped thinking two-dimensionally, I started thinking one-dimensionally. So you have your line. That represents your current dimension that you are resizing in. You have the point that you are dragging, and then you have your origin. Now, for a standard drag, the origin is at the opposite side. For a resize drag, the origin is down here. And then what we're doing is, for our new origin, we're doing the new well, this is the origin for our actual resize. The actual origin for the thing is actually going to be minus absolute of the drag delta. And the size is going to be 2 times the delta. Because if you're dragging down, the origin is always going to be at the top. This is always going to be, if I drag, if the delta is this, and I drag down, this is always going to be negative delta. And then you've got 2 delta. So the question is, what happens when you hit a bound? So let's say this is 0, this is 10, and this is 20. Let's say if the delta is 25. So you're going to be dragging to there. It's the new drag delta that we don't want to get above that. Interesting. So we may need to adjust this. Because what we want when you're dragging is, it's okay if the delta goes down to, say, no, we can't do it with the delta because right. So we are going through. If we look here, we go through, we get our new origin, we get our new size. So in this case, the delta is 25. So let's say this only goes up to minus 15. Actually, yeah, let's leave that for now. So you go down, get to there, and that wants our... Let's throw in some numbers. So our new drag delta, well, our origin in this case is going to be half our size. So let's say... this is why trying to think about maths is so difficult. You get your current origin, the current origin plus the origin adjustment. There are too many different origins in here. Right, so this is our drag origin. The crop rec code doesn't... I haven't implemented this option resize Steve, so that's why it is not working there, because I was not silly enough to think that we needed it. So I mean, most of it works fine. The issue is like, I know what the problem is. It's working out where to solve it. Alright, let's just, even though these comments are going to be pretty just writing down what the code does, I'm going to write them down anyway. So, work out the origin on the drag. Either it's the handle or halfway down. Correct. Initial drag delta is get the size, we subtract the origin from that, and we subtract the drag origin. Work out how far from the origin the current point is. We're adding our delta here, and we're getting the correct point from that. Then we're modifying. This is pretty simple. As we say, if you're holding option, then we want negative the absolute value of the drag delta is going to be our how much we adjust the origin, and the new origin is going to be that. New size is going to be that. So this is actually pose. Actually, could we just make posed origin? So this is going to be the origin that we hopefully want. And in this case, no. So it isn't the new origin. This is... Let's do the same that we've... let's leave that until I can come up with a better name. So this is going to be negative the absolute delta. So that is how much we are going to be adjusting. Otherwise, it's going to be 0 or the new drag delta. Oh yeah, because the delta is the delta from our initial point. Okay. So we get through this, get to the origin. Rect origin adjustment is our new origin plus the drag origin. So this is now converting into rectangle space because we have two different spaces. Technically 3 different spaces, but we have our drag space, which if I bring up the iPad again, is where the origin is set, depending on where you drag and what you have selected. So normally, like in all cases when we're actually laying out the image, that's the wrong thing. This here is our 0 point. However, when you're dragging the bottom, then that again is our 0 point, unless you hold Option, in which case the middle is our 0 point. But if you drag from the top, then this down here becomes our 0 point for the drag. So this converts us back, because what we're doing is we're taking the new origin that is going to be in drag space and adding our drag origin. So we change this to new drag origin, rather new drag base origin. You know what? I'm getting confused by this. Let's do this and just step through and just make sure that I am understanding this right. I mean, I could just go back and watch the stream where I wrote this, but that probably would not be very interesting for anyone. So, we get our adjusted rect, which is 50-50, 100-100. No, really, I haven't actually tweeted. I haven't actually retweeted that, so I may tweet it after the stream. So I'll probably put that up. I'll maybe like midway through when we have break, I might tweet about it. Why change the origin on Option? So what I am actually following, there are multiple ways of doing this. So you could do the way that, for example, if you have a screenshot and then you hold Option and it goes from whatever the current center point is. So that is one way of doing it. The other way, the other way of doing it is like here. And this is what a lot of apps do. So I'm here, but if I hold Option, it's going from the original center point. So I can resize over there, but if I hold Option, it changes the center point back to where it was. The actual one that I'm basing it off is OmniGraffle. So if I What's that? If I drag something there, and I'm going to resize it, and so I'm basically basing it off of that. So that is why I swapped the origin, because it just makes the maths a lot easier. Unfortunately, the maths is not easy in the first place, so it's all relative. So you start off here with our adjusted rect. What we're going to do, get our drag origin. Now, our origin from the offset, our offset from, it should be offset from the rect origin. I'm going to go through and rename all this at some point. I'm not going to do aspect ratio stuff for now. That could be something that's added at some point in the future. Aspect ratio isn't really as useful because you need to get the correct aspect ratio in the first place. So I suppose snapping to a square could be useful, but I mean the symmetry selection is useful if... Oh wait, I'll show you once we've finished working through this, because I need to work out what exactly I'm doing here. So we get our drag origin, and our drag origin is 0 because it is our offset from the origin. So when you're dragging from the bottom, our offset from the top origin is 0, which means our initial drag delta is going to be the height, which is 100. Then our new drag delta is going to be 110 because we've moved down 10 points. So that is all correct. Therefore, our new origin is 0, and our new size is correct. Okay, so that all works fine. Let's get rid of that. Alright, let's go back and let's do the top, because that resizes the origin as well as doing the height. So, our new drag delta is negative 110. So, it's not the new drag delta. It's the offset from the origin. This, right? Initial offset in from drag origin. New offset from drag origin. And therefore our new origin is going to be that. And then you want your rect origin adjustment is going to be your new origin, which is minus 110, plus the drag origin, which is 100, which gives us our adjustment. Because we've swapped the adjustment back into rect space. Okay, we're getting somewhere. We're learning how code works. It would be a lot easier if it wasn't code that I wrote just a few days ago. So our current origin is the origin that we have. if the current origin plus the rect adjustment is less than 0, so basically we've gone above our 0 point in rect space, then we'll adjust it, or if the size is big, we'll adjust it. Otherwise, we'll do that. Okay. So, this stream is called Why You Should Name Your Variables Properly. It helps a lot in understanding what on earth your code does. Do not name something a delta when it's not a delta. Because then you will think it's a delta and be very confused. So we go through, we've got our adjusted rect, which is at 50, 60, 100, 100. Now, is it? 1 second. Go keyboard viewer. J. Is it J? Close enough. I think that would actually work in Swift. I mean, you can use emoji, so... So, we have our initial rect, which is 50, 60, 100, 100, because we want it shifted down 10 for this particular test. We don't want it centered, because if I move this out of the way, if it's centered, that is the easy case. Because if it's centered, that is going to hit the bottom as that hits the origin. What we want is if it's down here, then that is going to hit the bottom when that is not at the origin. And then we want the opposite, where we also want this above, where it's going to hit the origin before it hits the bottom there. So actually, no, that's the exact same, not quite the exact same case. But that is what we want to actually do. So, by having it offset, it just means that it forces it harder to change. Yep, as the saying goes, Singularity. 2 hardest things in programming: naming things, cache misses, and off by 1 errors. Alright, so our initial offset from the drag origin. So our drag origin is 0, so our initial offset from the drag origin is going to be... where are we? Initial offset from the drag origin is going to be 50. How? Because our drag origin is 50, because we're halfway down the size of our rect. Then our new offset, if we go down by 60, I believe we're doing. Yep, that's why it's 60. So our new offset from the drag origin should be 110, which is correct. Right, so at this point, our new origin is minus 110, which would, when we do our rect origin adjustment and put it back into the correct space, our rect origin adjustment, we want to shift the origin up by minus 60, which would be correct because we've moved it down 60. That's what we want to do. And the new size will be 220. So what we want to do, the current origin plus the origin adjustment, that is perfectly fine. Because our current origin is 60, if we did minus 60, we're 0. The issue is going to be this bit for this particular thing, because what we want is our new size to be 220, which is too big. So our Current origin plus origin offset from origin plus new size is 280. Get rid of that. Right, offset from origin. That's 280. So, that is 60. So that's going to set our new size to be right. So, for adjustment, size adjustment equals current origin plus offset from origin. If modifier contains option, then we're going to do size adjustment times equals 2. And then we're going to take off the size adjustment. That might fix it for this case. And then we're probably going to have to do something similar up here. Okay, not quite. It was 280. Current origin plus offset was 60. I want it to be 180. Right, so let's just do this back to that. This case, so we got it to 280. Current origin plus origin from offset equals 60. And the height we want is 180 because you've gone from 60, you are 100, you've moved down 40. So the new size is 220. Yeah. Size is 20. So therefore, I want to add current origin. The offset from origin is just normalizing it for when we're doing like positive, when we're doing like top and bottom. So we want current origin plus the new size. 220 plus 60. almost seems like this will be easy if we were dragging from the top. So you're dragging from the bottom. We have gone down 60. We need to limit that to only going down 40. This may be why it's not working. I've still got half a cup of tea left. I've not had enough caffeine. So, one... My brain is not in a maths mood today. Just have a panda. Well, we have our point here. Okay. Goes down. Dragged it down another. That takes us 20. Ah! Okay, so that's one thing that's wrong. So this is going to be wrong. Or is it? No, because the offset from the origin is going to be our drag origin. So our new current origin is going to be 10 plus the offset. Right. I think this may need to be our drag origin. For starters. Let's do this again. The reason it needs to be the drag origin no, because the offset from the origin, so that's just going to make it even bigger. Current origin plus drag origin is going to be 110. I'm getting the sense that we don't want the if statement in here. Getting the sense that what we want is we're going to need two separate paths. So, if current origin is just a direct origin, so that is going to be... Oh! Back. That needs to have direct origin adjustment. Surely. So let's just build a run and see if all of these tests, besides this one, still pass. We had that on. Oh, we've got a bunch of failures now. Right. Yeah, we're going to have separate paths for this, because this is very much focused on this size here. Because the reason we don't need the rect origin adjustment is that this effectively only fires if the size goes, if we're dragging down or to the right. Because at that point, the origin has stayed the same, but the size has grown too big. The thing is, if you're dragging up or to the left, we will hit this first, where the point goes beyond 0. Now there is probably a way that we'll be able to unify this, but for now we're just going to fix this another way. So for the size part, we'll do that first. Actually, look. Modifier contains option. So we'll do our adjustments here. Else. So we have our rect origin adjustment, but of our current origin, we don't want the current origin for this. We want the new origin. The new origin plus the new size plus the offset. If new origin plus size greater than self.image size. Oh, we do want the offset origin. What would it be? Action.size key path. Then let's just go through this and see what numbers we get. You probably wouldn't believe I was very good at maths at school, but drag origin. New origin is minus 110. Okay. So minus 60 plus offset origin. Oh, is it negative? Okay. Oh, because the offset from origin is 0. Yeah, maths is very hard when you're under any sort of pressure, and it's something like this should be very simple for me to work out, but it never is, and it's always the thing of you always feel, oh, this should have been so much easier. Like you see the solution, it's just like, well, that makes a lot of sense. Why didn't I see that several hours ago? And it's also hard because it's one of those things of you can see what you need to do. Like visually, it just intuitively makes sense. It's just writing down the equations for that is the hard bit. so the origin has gone minus 60. So if we add our current origin, that gets us 0. Oh, our drag origin is 50. Our current origin is 6. Okay, so we want our current origin plus new offset from drag origin. Or want new. So our current origin plus new size is getting us 280, but we don't want that. But that gets us 170. What is it wanting our new size to be? Our new size is going to be 20. Oh! That makes sense. Adjusted direct. The origin. Key path. Right. Now. So. Let's stick current origin down here. And this is the thing where things have been going a bit wrong. Current midpoint equals adjusted rect dot dot midpoint key path direction origin key path. So what we have, our current origin is 60. Why is it 60? Because that is the top. So when we add half of our new size, that gives us where are we? That gives us 280. If we add half of our new size, that gives us 170. 280 is way too big, and 170 is way too small. What we're actually wanting is 220. No, 60, and it's already 50, so add another 60. So 60 plus 50 is 1. No, the Y is 60, plus 50 is 110 is the center point. So add, no, 60 plus 100 is 160, add another 60 is 220. That's what we want. And the problem is, if we do PO adjusted rect dot mid Y, that gives us our 110. Well, that's why things have been going wrong here. So what we want to do is if the current midpoint plus with the new offset, well, we'll do new size divided by 2. then that is giving us the correct sort of end of our thing. Okay, we're getting somewhere. So therefore, our new size needs to be equal to so if it's bigger at the bottom, our change needs to be image size minus just equals our image size key path direction size key path minus our current midpoint, and then do new size equals adjustment times 2 and new vect origin adjustment because we want to adjust so what we want to do is find the difference. So let's suppose max equal current midpoint plus new size divided by 2. If the proposed max is greater than that, then what we want to do is the adjustment's just the proposed, it's just the difference between self.image size key path. So that's the adjustment we need to do, and then we do the new size is going to be minus equals the adjustment, and new origin minus equals the adjustment. This is going to be checking bottom / right edge. So this could work. Actually, no, the new origin needs to be plus equals that. After size path. Restart. Okay. Let's try this here. No worries, Jen. Hope you enjoy your shift on MC Parks. Oh, rect origin adjustment equals that. And let's see if this now works. It does not. Oh, progress though. The origin's correct. Okay, so minus the adjustment. Oh yeah, because we need to take it down from the top as well. Because this is how far it goes down below the bottom, but if we wanted to keep the center point same and we're shifting back up from the bottom, we need to shift back up from the top. Okay, so we're good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to shift the Y to 40. And this should basically be the opposite thing, whereas before, what we have just tested is if we are down here and we drag down, that we stop there and we stop there. And that's good because we're going down below, because we can just check against the size. However, what we want to do now is make sure if we're up here and we drag up, that we stop. So we're not, the actual size, or rather the max, is not going to go beyond, but the min is going to go above. So what we need to do is that's there. Let proposed min equals current midpoint minus new size divided by 2. If proposed min is less than 0, then we let the adjustment is well, if it's less than 0, it's the adjustment is just adjusting by that because we've fixed it on 0. So therefore our new size is going to be plus equals the adjustment well, the proposed min times 2, and the rect origin adjustment is going to be minus equals the proposed min because, well, actually no, it's going to be equal to 0 because we're just nulling that out. So what we'll first do, let's just comment that out and run the test. Let's make sure that it fails and fails how we expect it to. The build fails. Okay. Oh yeah. Holding option while resizing doesn't go down beyond image bounds. Go up beyond image bounds. Debugging stuff is never the most interesting, but it is the most satisfying when you finally get it. Right. So if we do that, is this going to have succeeded? Okay, we're still failing. If we're 50, 40, I'm dragging down by 60, that should actually, yeah, so we haven't actually updated these. Right, so actually, that wants to be dragged down by 60, it'll go up by 40. It should be 50, 0, 100, 18. Ah, so the rect, yeah, we need the rect origin adjustment. But yeah, we do want that to be minus equals the proposed min, because this is an adjustment, not a new value. Again, this code could be probably tidied up a bit, but once it's working, it's fine, and we will tidy it up some other time. Hey, so the test pass. And in theory, because of how all this works, because these tests pass, it should pass for everything else if we did it. So let's see. Oh, would you look at that? Oh, he says it should. Okay. He says it should pass for everything, but it doesn't. Okay, so that is working. That is working. Ah, I bet I know why. Yeah, so we do need to do these for the top because we're not taking into account the offset from origin. Probably. So don't think that should be making a difference. But we will see. If we create the tests, we can see what actually failed. So, oops, sorry. Every single time. So, this, if I size this here, and a scale, look, it's no longer going. So if I go to the right, I go to the bottom. However, if I go to the top, I'm dragging up to the top, it's not working. And I go to the left, it's not working. So it works perfectly for the bottom and the right. For the top, the reason I believe it's this offset from origin is that in theory that is the only thing that is that is different between them, or it's the only thing that should be different between them. So if we do for this, we want min, maximum, min and max min. We want these deltas to be negative. Hold it option. And the results should be exactly the same, because if you're dragging the top and going up, and you're holding option around the center, regardless of where it's top or bottom, should be the same. You're still adjusting both points equally. So these should both fail. Which they do. Okay. 101 to 20. Yeah, so we're not getting any sort of bounce checking. So let's run, see what happens. What sort of values are we getting? So the current midpoint should be exactly the same. It should be 100 and, well, in this case, 90. It should be just 90. Which it is. Our proposed min is 200. What? I mean, I understand why, because offset from drag origin is negative. But why have I allowed that to be negative? What happens if I make it absolute there? I run the full test suite. Is something going to fail? Must be a reason that I changed it to absolute down here rather than all the way up there. Down. Alright. All of our bottom tests fail. Okay. Dragging down. Actually, all of our tests fail. Or something. I mean, the only place that we use new size, set the new size there. That's going to be that plus the offset from the origin. That's positive. It's going to origin is positive, so that's going to be positive. That should be positive. So... why do all these fail when I make the new size absolute? When the new size is absolute, that is literally the only thing, and some of these should not actually be touching that at all. So all of our left, all of our right, all of our top, and all of our bottom are failing. I get a noob. It's going okay. It's going staring at code and trying to work out why the maths isn't working. That is pretty much the situation at the moment. Right. Let's look at the rat, because I mean the rat absolutely should not be failing here. I don't understand how making the new... So we go here. Our new size is 100. So we go front origin plus the new size, and our offset from origin. What? Offset origin is 100. What? Oh, because it's doing the top right. Ah, right. Hey. This is moving to the right, but it's changing the height. Interesting. But we're getting the delta. What happens? Regard delta key path direction. Origin key path is greater than else return. Because else return rect. Because we don't want to adjust it if delta hasn't changed. No matter what everything else is, we do not want to adjust that. Is that going to fix it? Nope, that looks like it's going to... it fixes some things. Oh, why has that failed? I just don't understand how making that... What is going on with this maths? Action. Okay. Direction, horizontal. Oh, delta. Delta. Oh! Yeah, not equal to 0. So, moving to left decrease x. Wait. Or is this potentially why I allowed negative? Because... size... 110. Have your current origin plus offset from origin. That gives us... That gives us 206. So therefore, the new size... So why? Why is that the case? You have your current origin, plus the origin from offset is 150, minus 110 would take you to 40. As we're effectively just in this main proposed max, but we're not doing it correctly, I don't think. Okay, I am going to go and take a short break to go and get a fresh drink, and I'll be back in a few minutes, and then have a think about this, because we may need to actually rewrite this to be a bit more like this after all. So we will see. Anyway, I will see you all in a few minutes. Okay, I am back and I have tweeted the puzzle for any Coco devs. Now, anyone who's watching this knows the answer, but for anyone who hasn't been watching this, I'm interested to see what they will come up with as the answers. So if any of you want to retweet that, Uli, I know you were wanting to. Oh, the answers to this tweet. What is the result for A, B, and C? And as we all know on stream, the answer for A is true, the answer for B is false, and the answer for C is true. Unless you check both of the origins and both of the sizes separately, in which case it's false. Oh, people will understand the font, Steve. They can tell what a double equals is. I'm sure there are enough people out there using this font. For anyone who hasn't actually seen this font, it has many nice features. So, for example, this is, you have your arrow ligature there. You can have your double equals. I believe it has a special ligature for the tilde equals. It converts to that. Not equals converts to that. This is, of course, the JetBrains mono font, which is a pretty fantastic font. You can find it at jetbrains.com/lp/mono. But it's a very nice font. I believe it's somewhat based off Deja Vu Sans, possibly. Oh no, that's Menlo. Apple's fonts are based off Deja Vu Sans. But it's a nice, big, chunky font, but it has all of these nice, where are they? All of these nice ligatures for various things that just make the code, to me, look a lot nicer. And it also tightens up some spacing on certain things. So it's definitely worth checking out if you like playing around with your setup and the fonts that you use. It's a completely free font. While I may not use their most of their apps, this font is the nicest coding font I've used, so it has quite a lot of nice weights to it as well. So I mean, this is just a nice website showing everything off, so it's well worth looking into. So we were looking here. We have our current origin. So this works correctly here. Because what do we have left? Moving to the right but not beyond the red bounds. This is width. Resizing left beyond image bound. So current origin, the top origin. So our proposed main equals our current origin plus direct origin adjustment. And our proposed max equals our current origin plus our rect origin adjustment plus size. So the proposed max is that, or the proposed min is that. This is just going to break everything else. Oh, nope, that fixed it. Hey, so all of our tests are now working. So if we build and run, because all of our tests working obviously means that the code works. So, okay, so that's all working correctly. That's working correctly. That's working correctly. Hey! It works. Sweet. Oh, working correctly may be boring, but I think this is pretty exciting because this is working pretty well. Well, the next thing before we make it pretty, we can actually mark off fix bug with option resize, because I thought, oh, we'll fix that first because we know what the problem is and this is going to be easy to fix. Takes several hours. So the next thing, hopefully that should be easy, is doing this. You'll notice as the image scales down, we're not scaling down these. So what we want to do, I believe, yeah, so it's correctly adjusting things when we're doing the events, it's just not adjusting the drawing. So what we want to do here is go to our hotspot. And here we want to change these. These all want to be hotspot path for aspect ratio. Oh no, for scale. Bounds path for scale. That's going to turn that. Editing handle. Right. So what we want is here. Going to have this. Turn this. You know what, let's add a multiplied by to our core graphics extension. So we have it for point, have it for size. Why on earth don't we have it for here? Public func multiplied by C float, return the CG rect, and this is return CG rect. Origin, self.origin multiplied by factor, self.size multiplied by factor. And if we go back here, we can do multiplied by scale. Helps if I can spell correctly. Back. Rex here. By scale. Oh yeah, the that and get rid of that. Right. So what we're going to do is going to set this to 1 because internally it wants 1 for all of these. Because internally we're always working on scale 1. It's only externally that you need it. So you're going to do editing bounds path, editing handle rex, hotspot path. What you're complaining about that. Add our self in. Right, so build those. What do you mean? Oh, because that... Right. Well, we just stick 1 in for now. They should all work exactly as it did before. Which it does. Now, I have just realised something that we will have to tweak, but what we can do is let scale equals self.image size.width divided by self.frame.width. If we pass in scale, Hmm. Oh, I've done that the wrong way around. Frame. There we go. Alright, let me just check. Yeah. So that scales down correctly and up correctly. And you can click and resize. However, this is where we need to do some changes here. We want the rect to scale down, but we want it to be pixel perfect. We want the origin of our editing handles to scale down, but we don't want the actual size of them to. However, we want the center point to scale, but we don't want the size to. So we need to make some more changes to our rectangle hotspot. So the first thing we want to do is here, we're just going to do rounded. And this will make sure things are okay. But here, we want to move it by we want to keep this center. It's going to be easier by making editing handle rex by drag kind. Big scale, because then we scale the rect and then just have things work correctly. Might just Right, editing handle rex by drag kind. If you multiplied, yeah, all these are multiplying the rect. So it's going to be far easier if we do this, because then we can, because what this is basically doing is getting all the corners and just dividing the size, and the size is going to be the same. So yeah, we'll change this to a private. Editing handle rex by drag kind for scale. Did you float? Going to turn that. Scaled rect equals self.rect. Scale multiply by scale. Around that. And then multi-select all of these. Scaled rect. Scale. Scale. Where else is it? There. Okay, so if we build and run, this should fail. Okay, what has failed? Scale 1. Bugs fixing streams are like an episode of Sherlock Holmes. I mean, in the way they are, unfortunately, it's not very elementary. So there we are. So we're scaling down. Do I want them to be bounded? Because I don't know how much it comes across on screen, but they jitter about when you scale down because the rounding. But the problem is I don't want them to be blurry. So maybe let's take these rounded off and just see what it looks like. So it probably will scale down a lot nicer on a retina display. I take those off. Yeah, that is way smoother. That is way too. I mean, there's a little bit of jitter on a non-retina display, but that's because it's going half pixels. I mean, if anything, that looks to me like the jitter is more in the image view. But I mean, that looks okay. I think for non-retina, ideally what I need to know is oh. Okay, scaling it up worked well. Scaling down works fine. So I mean, scaling up should work, so that makes me assume that the issue is in here. Okay. Oh, I know what is going wrong. Hotspot view. If self dot is in canvas, self dot hotspot view. Oh, this layout constraint dot activate. Self dot hotspot view dot width anchor dot constraint equal to self dot image view dot width anchor. Do the same for the height. Because we want to have it scale up beyond intrinsic. Ooh. Okay, let's just do match the widths. Nope, not like that. Hotspot. Aspect. Guys. Is equal to the height anchor. Okay, so what if we do the height anchor? Hi, Mishabi. It is going pretty well. We're currently working through some bugs and tweaks and stuff. There we go. That is working. So we're working through our hotspot editing. We've got this working. It all. Where are we? We just have some fixed hotspots in, but it works fully scaling. You can move them around, you can resize them, you can hold the option to resize right there, and it keeps them locked in the bounds. So we have our aspect ratio working. Yeah, I have made quite a lot of progress. I mean, it would have been nice to make more progress, but I mean, obviously most of my time is spent doing contract work. But I've managed to get the cropping working. I've managed to get all of this hotspot stuff working here. So what we're going to do now is hopefully very quickly, though all the stuff I thought was very quick has not been, get it so that when you're dragging and you change the modifier keys, it will actually fire off an event that will tweak this. So if I can get that working, that will then let us go and work on the actual visual style for all this and make it look how we actually want it to look. So, oh, still seem to be having an issue there. Yeah, why are these not satisfiable? What do we have? Background view. Okay. Image editor. Hotspot view. You want the center X. Okay. Right, let's have this. Um, hmm. Put the width and width back in. And what we'll do is have a maintain aspect ratio. Cool. And that what we'll do is have a outfront update aspect ratio constraint. When the image size is changed, so have to update aspect ratio constraint. Stick this in here. Self dot hotspot view dot maintains aspect ratio equal self dot canvas false. Right, that should hopefully eliminate our problems with auto layout. And it does. There we go. We can scale down and we can scale up. Okay, sweet. Have a good evening, Mr. B. Hope your day went fairly well. And thanks for dropping by. Right, so draw when pressing Option. So I believe what we want here is in flex change. That's what we want. If Alright, let's see if this works. So what we're going to do is, if we have a current event, if the flags change, then we're going to simulate a dragged event. So if I drag there, okay. So the question is that because flags change requires us to set something else up? Yes, so flags change. Oh, yeah, flags change is not being called. Of course it shows no documentation, because why would Xcode show you documentation for a header? Forms received that the user has pressed or released a modifier key. Oh, I bet I know why it's not firing. Right, let's switch back. Coppice. Open the debug. Respond the chain. Right. I need to allow this to... That's now our first responder. So I want this to become first responder when you actually click on the thing, but not when you click... Oh no. If you just click on the background, and I want to pass that through to the image. Okay, well, we'll sort that out in a bit. What we want is steps first responder true. Right, let's see. On the chain. There we go. And now that fires. Okay. So if I start dragging this to here, and now if I start pressing the option key, you'll notice that the mouse is not moving, but this is. So that still lets us select the image view, but that is now selecting there. So what we need to do is we'll tweak that at some other point where you'll be able to click on the image, because we want it, if you click and drag, that is going to start creating a new thing. But if you just click, we want to select the image view, because at that point you can actually start editing the image. Whereas if you click on any of these, we want it to actually do something rather than select the image view. So actually, we don't care about that, do we? Because if you're in hotspot view, we're not going to let you replace the image. You do that in this mode. So we could just have it not accept first responder, because you're not going to be editing stuff. All you're going to be doing is clicking to invoke a thing, and you don't need to accept first responder to respond to a click. So yeah, we could just get away with that just being what mode it's in. So, but that works. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to commit. Appears 341. Implement hotspot scaling fix side. Right. So now we get to start making things look pretty. So let me launch Photoshop. I want I want image edit design. So what we have the hotspot itself, we have a white background and we have a black border. So that is white with a 10% fill and black with a 60%. So what we can do is go up here and we can create some colors. Let hotspot fill and this color white 1 0.1. Let hotspot stroke equals color white 0 0.6. So what we're going to do here, hotspot fill dot fill hotspot stroke dot stroke, and we'll just comment the editing handles out for a second. Hotspot path for scale. Hotspot path dot line width. Set that to 2. And we're going to do hotspot path. Maybe I want this to be 0.2 rather than 0.1. That shows up a bit better. So you are probably going to have them highlight when you hover over them. but we'll leave that as is for now. But that shows up fairly well. So what we want next is if let editing path equals hotspot dot editing bounds path for scale editing path dot line width equals 2, and what we're going to do is nscolor dot black set stroke editing path dot stroke, and then we're going to do nscolor dot white dot set stroke editing path dot line there's a path. What do I want? Set the line dash. I've had to use the line dash somewhere. Where? How? I know where I've used line dash. Placeholder view. There we go. Path dot stroke. So hopefully this should now draw us some editing paths. Which it does. And all we need now let's color do the hotspot, and let's do the hot spot stroke these, and what we're going to do is half overlay 0 half dot fill half dot stroke. There we go. I may have to play around with this, because if you resize it like that, I don't really want that. If I go to Photoshop and drag a marquee, I mean, you have the marching ants, but each side of it is independent. So way to stroke the individual lines. Now, so thinking about it, do I even need a Bezier path? Because what I'm effectively doing, because the reason I have a Bezier path and the reason I'm thinking about it this way is that for these that's fine, but you need a path for the polygon because you need, like, it's not just going to be a rectangle. But I have the editing points and it's always going to be between the editing points. So I could always go loop through the editing rects and draw this path and do it as stroking between the different things, which should work because I'm drawing points between the midpoints of all the editing handles. That works, and it works the same way in terms of like view and stuff because the editing rects is an empty array. So I might actually do that. I actually need to be right back for 2 seconds. So I will be back in 2 seconds. Okay, I'm back, sorry about that, just had to nip away. So let's just have a quick look and see if people have been responding to my tweet. We've got one person getting it right, that it's true, false, true. Yeah, there are some people that most people seem to be getting it right when they think about it. So it does seem that people are understanding how Rex work, even though I didn't understand that was how Rex worked. I expected it just to compare the values, but oh, and Uli, I've just seen your reply about the webcam. So for the webcam, no, I don't need 4K. I was just going to go get something good because I'm not really going to use the camera for streaming. It's more for meetings and stuff like that. One thing I have seen recommended is actually the Elgato face cam, so that's possibly what I'm going to go for because that seems to be a fairly well reviewed webcam. I want something that is pretty decent because especially for my contract work I need a webcam, not just for meetings but for the app itself because it does some stuff with the camera. So I'm probably going to go with the Elgato one and get something fairly decent for that. I did have it pointed out to me earlier today that the monitor I'm looking at, the Gigabyte M28U, only goes to 300 nits brightness. So I then looked up, okay, what is the brightness of the monitors I have now? And the iMac I have goes up to 500 nits brightness, which I rarely have the iMac up on full brightness because it can be a bit too bright for me. And the two monitors either side of me only go to 350 nits brightness. So it's like, and I believe they are both. Let me check this one. Yeah, one of them's on 40% brightness and the other one is on 60% brightness. And genuinely, I cannot really tell the difference in brightness between them. So they go to 350 nits and I've got them about half brightness. So, like, all this stuff of, oh, these displays go up to 1000 nits peak brightness or whatever it is, and it's just like I'm basically working on like 150 to 200 nits brightness for most of my displays. I do not like a bright display. Why I use dark mode. So let's go through and work through this. We can get rid of editing bounce path. We don't need that anymore. And what we're going to do is we're going to get our editing handle correct. Going to the fair point. Alright. So 0 to editing handle rex.count for each. minus 1. Yeah. We do that to the count minus 1, because then what we can do is let 0.1 equals and a rect index dot midpoint. 0.2 equals editing handle rect index plus 1 dot midpoint. Very private chunk. Editing stroke editing path 0.1 point and 2 point. Edit path between 0.1 2 x dot count 0 else and not else continue. Well, greater than or equal to 2. We always want at least 2 points because otherwise there's no point doing anything. Then we want let 0.1 equals editing handle rect count minus 1, because we won't actually do that because this only goes less than that, and 0.2 equals editing handle rect 0. And we're going to stroke that. So this is the first one's going to stroke between the first point up to the last point, because this is going to be minus 1, this is going to be plus 1, which will take us to our last point. And then we want finally to do between the last point and the first point. So we do 0.1, 0.2. And editing path is going to equal to an specific path move to 0.1, editing path dot line to 0.2. Okay, let's see if that builds. Does not. As we need to get the midpoints. Okay. Let's see if this looks correct. It does not, because we're not going around in order. Okay. But we are getting the behavior one. Okay, progress. What we want to is we want to sort bar drawing order. Switch. Self. Oh, for crying out loud, that's code. I have multiple. This is why I dislike this feature. It should be a fantastic feature. You just switch self and it's going to autocomplete. Isn't that wonderful? And what happens? Top left, top right, right, bottom right. I mean, does this look correct? Why? Why does it do this? Because if I go to the top view, I've got a drag. Bots, yet again, they're out in force, so you earn the ban. But you get a drag handle here. You get a drag handle here. I mean, the whole point of Swift having all of this type information is supposedly that the compiler and the tools could be so much smarter because we've got all of this type information, so now that we can do stuff. And yet we just have effectively a glorified version of NSStream, NSString again, where it's like, oh, we see this is called drag handle. Oh, we see you're completing self on drag handle. We will fill in all the types for drag handle. Okay, are you going to do the correct drag handle? No, we are not, because we are only looking at drag handle, and therefore we are going to get the first drag handle we find. And I've been fighting this because if you ever actually do this, where you embed stuff, which a lot of people do because it is incredibly useful, it is just... It is so incredibly frustrating that it's like, you're so close to having an absolutely brilliant feature, and yet you manage to fail so badly. It's like you have one job, just... like you have the type information, you should have the full type information complete based on that type information, and what can you not do? Complete based on that type information. It's like, what is the point of the Swift type system if you're just going to mess up so badly? I mean, it's like, I would rather not have this functionality in. And this is the thing, Objective-C, you couldn't have this functionality for a lot of stuff because it wasn't there. Except the thing is, I think in Objective-C, this worked better because the autocomplete used the enums and the type system wasn't as robust, but it was far better because if I do case dot, see, it shows up the correct thing there. It knows it's autocompleting there. But if I do case dot, you see resize top left shows up again. Now I can understand partly why that is there, but it was... I'm just... It is so frustrating that this could be so powerful, and the promise is so powerful, and the reality is it just takes a long time to compile, and it doesn't get stuff right. And it's not like, oh, the type system, because it's taken a long time to compile, it helps you out with stuff because the error messages aren't good enough either. Hey. Swift. It's a wonderful language, except when it's not. Anyway, let's get back to what we were doing. Rant over for now, because I'm sure it will rear its ugly head again. Right. So, can we sort sorted by /1 dot no /0 dot drawing order. It's smart enough. Do that. No. Oh. Right, let's try that again. Can I infer key path into a multi-argument function type? Okay. Well, we'll do .0.0. Actually, do handle, and I do frame. Can I change that to /handle /that drawing order? Then can I change this to map on frame? No, can't. For simplicity there, let's just convert that struct. Private struct editable. Let handle is a drag handle. Let frame is a CG effect. Editing handle. Editing handle. This is one thing I do love about Xcode, is the multi-line editing is pretty fantastic. Not every IDE can handle it well. Some do fantastically, some do better than Xcode. Others just don't do it at all. Right. By oh, is that the reason? You can't do it, but okay. Okay, so that was the whole reason. So in that case, let's convert all that. Get rid of the struct, and we will just have to do $0 dot handle dot drawing order greater than $0 dot handle $1 dot handle. Never remember whether you need to be greater than or less than. are in increasing order. So therefore, enter if its first argument should be ordered before its second argument. So it's less than. There we go. Interesting. We could be smarter with this. But I think for today, it won't be. Because what we could do is that when you're moving down, we draw from that point to that point and that point to that point so that... But the thing is there, you need to know... Yeah, so let's see, when you click on something, when you are in edit mode, you'll be able to just click and that will select. And I believe it does select now. In fact, if I click on there, no, so I'm not passing the key. In fact, let me just see if I can do that very quickly. Actually sending the key up event. No, it's not doing anything. Okay, so when it is selected, it will become the selected item, at which point the link will fill in. So like here, there's no selection, but when I select a link, it will show up. So images will eventually have this inspector on them. So when we get to the actual link side of things, it will be just like that. So when you click on it, it will take you. What I am going to do at some point in the future is I want to make the links a bit better. For example, in here, I want maybe rather than links just being an underline here, maybe do some more drawing so that you can like hover over and see where it's going. Tell what the difference between a link to another page is, or a link to another to a website is. Maybe have it where the link shows the icon. So if it's linking to a text page, it will show the text link. If it's linking to an image page, it will show the image link. So for example here, if I go to image pages, this is linking to a text page, but this is linking to an image page. But if I was to add, say, Coppice here and do https coppiceapp.com, that is linking to a website. You don't know where they are linking to. So have it where it's drawing something where it shows the actual icon over it. I mean, images and pages are going to be a bit different because for a page, you can sort of go into edit mode like this and sort of move around, and you can both click and edit. Whereas on here, when you are in the hotspot mode, when you switch over, clicking will select and won't do it. So there's slight differences there. You're going to have to be in the view mode to actually click them. But I could have like a little icon on them when you hover over, potentially, that will say, okay, this is going to go to a text page, this is going to go to an image page. Potentially when you hover over, maybe it shows like the name of the page below with the icon or something. So there's lots of possibilities. Now I'm not going to do that for this version. I'm going to do that as like a big update, maybe for the next, not the next version, the third version, where I'm going to be doing quality of life improvements. I may do that there as a big thing, because there I may be dropping some OS support, which I believe would, if I drop support for 10.15, I don't think I get TextKit 2 in macOS 11. It's technically there. It's technically powering text views, but I don't think the APIs are public until macOS 12. Or is it they're available in... They were added in 10.15 and they were available in macOS 11? Either way, TextKit 2 is going to make a massive difference. When I get access to that, because it seems so much more powerful while having less work, it feels like it's going to make doing custom stuff in a text, like in terms of text layout, a lot easier. It seems like a lot more composable, so that you can go in and tweak things without needing to basically rewrite huge parts of how things work. So it seems like it's going to be a lot easier to go in and tweak rather than completely redo stuff. So that would be great when I can use it, because then I can start doing stuff, a lot more advanced stuff in terms of the text layout. But yeah, I think what we will do, so we got that, we finalized visual style. So now all those are working, what we're going to do, let's plan out stuff for tomorrow. Why this not deleting? Oh. I delete a row now. Oh. Interesting. Edit. Okay, so I can do edit, delete. I can't do delete that way. Okay. So what do we want to do tomorrow? Probably... See, I really want to play around, because this looks just janky to me. Where the left one looks like it's not resizing properly, but the right one does, because that's what you're dragging. Whereas up here, if I'm now dragging up, the right one looks janky, whereas the top one looks correct. So I want to fix that, because that is a small thing, but it's something that's going to annoy me, and it's going to be an interesting problem to fix. So... Because at that point, we want to actually... Yeah, maybe what we need is to... Well, we'll think about that a bit more tomorrow. So fix... drawing... fix... Edit... Editing path... Drawing... We want... So well, we'll do selection deletion as a separate thing because creation is also going to be a separate thing. And then probably before we do polygon hotspots, we want to get view edit mode working. Yeah, so in terms of the data, how it works, in fact, if I do image content tests, so image page content, where is the... Yeah, so basically, in terms of the metadata on page content, that is just a dictionary. And what happens if I go to model file, is you get the metadata as a dictionary, and when you go into image page content and we load it in, we load stuff in, and then the other data is metadata we filter out our metadata keys, so the things that we do handle. Everything else goes into other metadata, and then we write it out. We start with other metadata and then we add our keys in. So our keys for here includes hotspots. So this version will read the hotspots in, handle the hotspots, and then add them back. So they will not be included in the other metadata. When you go to, I believe, version 2021.1 or newer, so everything besides the very first version should do this. This will just be stored in other metadata. Now, there will be some issues where it may not always work correctly, but basically if you open the file and then delete it, it'll be fine. The problem is if you open the file and then change the image, that changes some stuff. That, like, if you change the image, it will wipe out the hotspots on the crop rect, or it's going to do that. Whereas in older versions, it won't do that. So there will be some issues that we'll have to play around with, and how do they work. But that's just some basic validation stuff that we will have to do. But generally, it should work pretty well. And the areas it doesn't work pretty well are areas that we're going to have to handle. But I've gone for the approach of try to make things as reliable as possible. When you're just adding new data to a format, it's a lot easier to handle it if you're handling it in a way of, oh, I handle anything that's unknown. So that should hopefully work. But yeah, hopefully tomorrow we can get the editing path working. Selection and deletion, creation, view edit mode. If we can get that done, we're in a good state for this week. So let me see if I can find someone else who's doing some mobile development or something interesting who we can raid, because I think we're done for today. does not seem to be many people around the age-old problem of how do I find other people doing mobile development or Swift development or Cocoa development. And there aren't too many tags for that. Oh, Finite Singularity is coding. So let's go raid them again. Want to raid them yesterday, so let's go give them another visit because they were in the chat earlier. So let's go and raid them. They are working on some mobile development, I believe using Python and JavaScript. So we'll go and say hi to them. But until then, I want to say thank you for coming along, and I will see you all hopefully tomorrow for the final stream of this week, where we can hopefully get the rest of this done. So thank you very much, and as always, happy coding.